and welcome to the First Issue Club comic book podcast. We're your weekly reading club that talks about first issue comic books. We've got a special one for you, Best of. Everybody's doing it. Can you believe the landscape of any industry, video games, movies, books? We're all taking a gander back upon a very B-minus year of 2023 and saying, what were the A-plus things that existed within 2023?
But you know what? Only one podcast has the balls to do their best of 23 in 24.
That's exactly right. We were very formal about this and said, we got to get all those stragglers in before we can really say what was the finest. What was the creme of the crop?
Also, we understand SEO and know that if we release our best of in the midst of the other oceans of best of episodes, you might not see ours. So we wanted to make sure you see it.
And that's why our best of 24 episode is coming out in July. Is that what we decided?
Yeah, I think so.
So we'll be the first ones.
Really get to see it. Because after July, it's all kind of crap.
It's all
a happy
downhill.
as far as
celebration.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to cover a handful of topics on some of our personal favorites, bests. If there are any woes, contradicting opinions on any of these verdicts that
any
get called out,
harumps or rabbles,
please make those heard to my fellow co-hosts who are
Greg Lichtai.
Vargas.
and then I'm Mike D.
Can I do one bit before we get going?
Sure.
I feel like to add some gravitas to this whole thing, these awards need a name. And it can't be the firsties, and it can't be the clubbies. Okay?
All right.
But I feel like no one has done this yet, especially in the comic book
What's he gonna
podcast,
say?
of what these awards are. And I think we should call them the besties.
Yeah,
Oh, that's cute.
for
You
sure.
know?
Uh-huh.
Like, so this is the First Issue Club besties.
I love it.
I do like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
And then the logo's a friendship bracelet or a heart necklace that comes in two pieces.
Like a XOXO.
Gossip Girl.
I got a bestie. Gossip Girl. Cool. Okay. So these are the besties.
The besties. Time permitting, we may cover some first issues just so we get them in at the end of the episode, but we'll see.
Yeah. Andy did his due diligence and read some actual books.
Well, Andy read Moon Knight is what Andy read.
Andy is chomping at the bit to talk about Moon Knight, which, you know
It's
what?
fine.
We'll get into it at the end of the episode.
That's
well,
fine.
and my last category
Is Best Moon Knight?
is best death.
Oh,
So we'll have to see where this
Mark
ranks.
Millar's career.
Very good. Okay, we're going to kick this off with some of the more heavy-hitting categories.
traditional besties.
Yeah, and then we'll get into some of our funner ones. We've got 6 larger categories, and then we're on to some more fun stuff.
Okay.
Question 1. This isn't necessarily best, the overall best writer in our opinions. I more posed a question to everybody.
Yeah.
What writer had the best 2023? And we've got some nominees in here. We threw in Tom Taylor, who won an Eisner for Nightwing. Chip Zdarsky wrote both Daredevil and Batman
At the
this
same
past
time.
year. Like
And Public Domain. Let's not
And Public
forget
Domain.
Public Domain. I think Stillwater ended this past
Yeah.
year.
Howard the Duck annual.
Newburn came back. So, a massive year for him. Kelly Thompson
Oh.
put a cap on Captain Marvel and then went on to write Black Cloak and The Cull, which are fantastic comics.
And Birds of Prey. She's currently writing.
That's right.
Shout out to your guy, Jed McKay.
My boy.
Jed McKay.
Uh,
Caught a couple strays this year with his Spider-Man stuff and his other endeavors, but that's all right.
Yeah, I think Tom King and Ram V are worth mentioning because they did a lot of great stuff as well and did double duty on a lot of things.
Yeah, actually, I think this week it got announced that Ram V's Detective Comics is coming to an end. So his run's coming to an end. I've loved it. I love the gothic kind of opera feel of it all.
That is a book that, number one, I hope they do a big collective hardcover of.
They're gonna have to.
Because I want to buy every cover
Yeah.
of that
It's
issue.
immaculate.
Like, they're insane. They're so
Yeah.
good.
For the First Issue Club, best writer or what writer had the best 2023 though? I've got Al Ewing, who has been writing Immortal Thor, which is a book that's getting a lot of love in year-end lists, and that book kind of it's only like 5-6 issues deep so far and already making an impact and making a lot of people's lists. Throughout the entire year has been writing X-Men Red, which is most X-heads you ask. It's one of their favorite books alongside Immortal X-Men. And then Venom, another series that has just taken Eddie Brock and his family to a place that's spacey, larger than life, ethereal.
Yeah.
And to have those big ongoings and then start another third massive ongoing that has been getting as much kudos as it has, especially to follow up Thor after you've had the likes of Jason Aaron, who did his own big thing on it, and the history of that Thor character. I think it's impressive that people are liking Immortal Thor so much.
Well, and don't forget his smaller books that he's done. He's been the helm of those Defenders series for years, since
he did a Wasp mini that people really liked, had some cool
Ant-Man.
covers.
Did they also do We Only Find Them When They're Dead?
That was years ago though.
Yeah.
Did it just I thought it ended this year.
Did it end this year?
Pretty recently.
I think it ended
Oh
this
wow,
year.
okay, I didn't realize it went that long.
And is he doing Avengers Incorporated? Or is that E-viewing?
No. Ooh.
I know, right?
I think it's Al.
I think, yeah.
think it's
I
Al
thought it
Ewing.
was too.
I don't know.
Because that book slaps hard.
And it got canceled.
And it got
It's
canceled.
all right.
Real
it's all right.
shame.
It's okay. It's all right.
We're not canceling Al Ewing, just to be clear.
We would never.
How do we feel about that pick?
Yeah.
Good. I have a couple honorable mentions, but so far Al Ewing is had a phenomenal,
decent pick.
a
Yeah.
He had a
phenomenal
great
pick.
year. Of the ongoings he has, I think 3 overlapping ongoings that are all big titles.
Yeah.
Pretty big year for
The
him.
fact that he can juggle all that and not lose a thread in
yeah,
any of his
and
stories
that everything's maintained, I guess, the quality it
is
has.
super, super impressive. I just wanted to throw in real quick, Stephanie Phillips had an amazing 2023.
Sure.
She did Cosmic Ghost Rider for Marvel. She did the 8 Limbs out on Humanoid. It's about Maui Tai. And she did, I think, Harley Quinn.
She ended her run on Harley Quinn this year.
And, like, she's just been a showstopper and, like, really showing that
Fantastic
she can do
writer.
anything. Anything. And then, so I just want people to go out there and read some more Stephanie Phillips stuff because we need more books by her for
Yes.
sure.
All right on. All right, Andy cosigns.
Signed.
Vargas. Sorry, you go by Vargas on this.
It
I always
doesn't
call you Andy. Okay. All right. Which artist had the best 2023? That is our next category. We've got nominees of the likes of Sweeney Boo.
Sweeney Boo.
Huge breakout year for Sweeney Boo, who's
Got
went
the
from
Harley Quinn.
a cover artist to doing more covers and ongoing interiors with Harley Quinn. So I thought she was worth noting this year. Peach Momoko,
Who?
Not only the one of the most prolific cover artists we have, but is constantly reinventing character designs, almost monthly, be they in covers or be they on interiors of books that she's written, and seeing the heavy lifting that goes into redesigning all those characters is just
specifically like her Demon Days stuff.
fantastic.
It's
Yeah,
amazing.
I don't have a list of many Daniel Warren Johnson things that have happened this year, but Transformers is a huge one, obviously.
Transformers do a power bomb.
And yeah, I think Do a Powerbomb might have ended this year, or the trade came out and it brought more attention to Do a Powerbomb.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've heard his name mentioned more this year than I have any previous year, even though we might not have seen the busiest publishing year from him.
I think so. So Do a Powerbomb, the majority of it came out 2023. And like just watching that get more acclaim as it came out. I mean, we've been following him since Murder Falcon and Extremity and Little Bird. Like, he has been someone that's always been on our radar. And actually, I don't think he did I think I misspoke.
Ian Bertram might have done
that's
Little
right.
Bird.
But like to see him finally just like get the recognition that we always knew he was going to get.
Yeah.
It was so satisfying. And then to see him on Transformers was incredible.
Yeah.
Like no other artist was born more to do Transformers than
His
Daniel Warren
original
Johnson.
art for that sells out so fast.
You can't even
he's got a really rabid fan base.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he did Jurassic League.
Oh yeah, that's right, Jurassic League.
My breakout book for 2023.
Someone else mentioned Maria Wolf and Raphael Grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Grandpa is kind of a staple, at least for me, in like the cover world. But I think he's at least worth mentioning because he's doing Gargoyle of Gotham, the prestige Black Label book for DC.
Yeah,
beautiful book.
Writing and drawing.
Yeah.
So that I think that's a pretty big thing for somebody who's mostly known for covers. And Maria Wolf, kind of the same thing. You could argue that 2022 was like her breakout year.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
She's got, the Marvel Snap Cards has like a Maria Wolf series now.
Yeah.
She got a 1 in 25 Moon Knight cover. I would guarantee that her cover work has slowed down because she's probably on an interior book right now.
I would love that. To see her on like a Predator book or an Alien book.
Anything big action, anything Daniel Warren Johnson can do, Maria Wolf can do.
Yeah. And like a more like heavy metal.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to say that because Daniel Warren Johnson is a heavy metal guy.
Yeah.
Like when Murder Falcon was coming out, he would have corresponding metal songs to come out, I think the Tuesday before, to get you excited for Murder Falcon. So like to say that Maria Wolf is like even more heavy metal than Daniel Warren Johnson is no small kudos that we give.
All that being said, a great year for art. There's a lot of artists we didn't mention. The First Issue Club Artist of the Year is Dan Mora.
Can't go wrong.
A fucking stunner.
Yeah.
Year after year.
Amazing covers. The quality of interiors is phenomenal. From
I'm sure he's a robot.
World's Finest to Shazam, doing amazing things. I think breathing. What puts him on the top of this list for me is just the amount of fresh life and excitement his art style brings to DC, and especially with characters and titles that maybe seem a little corny or tired. His style of art just like immediately makes you interested in that comic book and makes them that much more fun to read. So.
We've talked about this before. His style really harkens back to the golden age of superheroes with its familiarity and with its dynamicism. That's not a word, but we're going to use it anyway. But like he kind of harkens back to like the good old days, air quotes, of comic books of just like they cost 25 cents and you could get them at the grocery stores. It's like he has that iconic flavor to every one of his characters.
He does. He exists in this uncanny middle space that's like nostalgia, classic comic, heavy black, simple lines, all that good stuff. But you can tell as somebody who grew up with animation and all that influence that more modern artists have, and the balance between those two things makes for really
and what's even
beautiful stuff.
Wilder is like it's so uniquely Dan Mora. Like when you look at it, you can't just say like, oh, I see a little bit of like Disney animation here, like I see a little bit of like so and so here. It's like he has like taken every influence that wanted him to be an artist and made it so directly his style.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. Like,
and I think it's worth mentioning when we're saying who's our First Issue Club writer or artist of the year, we're really talking about our particular tastes. And our tastes skew towards these people who really stand out from a crowd with their own unique styles.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of people who might say, I'm more of a traditionalist. I like stuff to look like Jim Lee. I like everything anatomically correct and with a certain amount of realism to it.
Yeah.
And that isn't historically, I think, what our tastes might always gravitate to.
Sure.
I think that Dan Mora is a crossover person who can like magically appease both
Everyone.
people. But you might not agree with a lot of our picks here today and say like Jorge Jimenez is like one of your favorite artists, and I think he's an amazing artist too and had a great 2023. But
Yeah.
He didn't do Once and Future.
And he didn't do the Jack White variant. Or he was the Nicolas Cage variant. Or the Jerry Seinfeld variant.
The Nick Cage and Jerry Seinfeld variants were
Or the Paul McCartney variant.
were fun ones this year for sure. So I don't know, just a little note on our personal tastes.
Yeah.
Just one last note on the artist thing. I do agree with what you said, Mike D, but like Dan Mora definitely made the biggest splash out of all the amazing artists that came out this year. Like that's the one that really I saw on social media. People were just like, Dan Mora.
He can sell a comic. People will buy comics not because Mark Waid is writing them, but because Dan Mora is drawing them, which when you're paired up with a writer as popular and as loved as Mark Waid,
Right.
Yeah,
the fact that people are buying a book for your art still is quite a feat. All right, let's keep moving. Best indie series. Contentious here, probably.
Yeah, this one is tough. This one is real tough.
A lot of tough decisions to make. I mentioned several books like Saga has been back and is consistently fantastic.
Yeah.
Damn Them All has ran throughout the year. I believe it started in 2022 and has been ongoing ever since. But fantastic book. Indigo Children made a splash.
Oh yeah.
Local Man made a splash. Beneath the Trees.
Beneath the Trees.
Big Arrival. And then Antarctica is a book that I know Greg loves.
Yeah. We Harrower came out on Vault. Was a phenomenal horror book that came out that I fell in love with. Andy, do you have any ones that are sticking out for you for indie?
We've got some other ones like later down on the list in other categories.
Mm-hmm.
We could talk about like The Neighbors or
Right.
Seasons Have Teeth.
Yeah.
Or The Nasty was a great
The Nasty was
comedy
so
horror
good.
crossover.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of
The Forged.
The Forge was
Fantastic
amazing.
So
tons of stuff.
Sometimes I feel like the larger format stuff, I'm almost like, is that cheating?
Yeah.
It's so like when you're holding it, you're like, this is amazing. Partially because like the format is so impressive.
it's like HD. It's like a widescreen comic book.
Oh, those are beautiful comics. That's a book that needs to be talked about more.
Yeah.
So glad it got mentioned.
Barbaric also expanded their universe,
yeah.
and it's every one of them is just so fun. You can't go wrong with the talking bloodthirsty axe. I'm sorry.
All right, but for best indie series, there can only be one winner, and the FIC winner is World True 33.
Pronounced perfectly, Mike.
Yeah, just as the creator intended.
This is a James Tynion book. Ever heard of him? Or Tunyon? Tunyon. Obviously a wonderful writer who's put all of his brain power into create her own titles this year. We've seen more independent stuff from him than we normally see. This book initially popped off because of a color misprinting on the first issue.
Right.
Which I think kind of undermined
the importance,
the story that was being told, right? That you were just kind of like after this misprint thing, and that became the narrative of World Tree. But it has since been a book has tons of retailer incentives. It's ordered out the ass. It's got a really interesting and I think relevant commentary on our society's fascination with violence, our addiction to technology, the subcultures that exist on the internet and how influential those are, the idea of community and who can find community where and what type of personalities are drawn to these subsects. There's just I think a lot of interesting themes that World Tree addresses in a fun sci-fi way with topics that are very, very difficult to address.
Yeah.
Like things like mass shootings that need to be discussed. And we need to have things in, I guess, the zeitgeist that continue those conversations. But it's tough when
no one wants to read a comic book about a mass shooting. The way you reference it and go about it has to be very delicate and very nuanced.
Well, and I also think there's a lot of people who are like, I'm an edgy writer or a director, and I'm going to make a movie that's like in your face, so much violence. And it comes across as like so corny and missing the point of like what the violence is trying to say.
They focus on the brutality of it. And like we get the brutality. We see it on the news. We see it in the live footage. But what Tianyin has done is pulled it back and is just like, what's fueling this? What is the motivation here? What is like surrounding the brutality and the violence? And that's what makes this book so brilliant.
Yeah, I think he's written several books about the end of the world. 4 that I can think of off the top of my head.
My God.
I was going to say...
amazing. They're all fucking amazing.
Like, World Tree really feels like an extension of whatever it was, the mimetic, cognetic, eugenic cycle.
Yeah.
It feels like an extension of that.
World Trinic.
And then his DC Black Label book was
Nice House on the Lake.
Yeah.
Nice House on the Lake.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
But I feel like he's had so much experience in these sort of like big, awful ideas and then making these artful statements out of them that he's one of the only creators that I would trust with like walking this razor thin line of how to do something like this in a way that's like palatable.
Yeah.
And still gets like a point across.
And I think it just speaks to his brilliance and his understanding of the medium and how to write a story, because there's been many other great writers who have tried to tackle difficult subjects and have just fallen flat on their faces.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy to do. And James has done it so well. Even though we know he's a vetted writer from so many years of reading his comic books, the way that he's just so successfully navigating this is like, masterclass.
Yeah.
All that said, please no one try to adapt this book to a movie.
No.
Yeah.
No,
because good call.
It will end up being a generic slasher movie, and it will be dog shit. Do not adapt this one.
It's the same reason Fight Club shouldn't have been a movie.
But that's really funny.
Leave it on the book.
God, talk about movies that haven't aged well.
Just kind of missed the fucking mark.
Yeah. All right. Best Big Two series is our next category. Another hard one to do. I've got honorable mentions such as Immortal X-Men. There's a million X-Men titles.
Yeah, pick
I
one.
think Kieran Gillen's Immortal X-Men is the just the best one, cream of the crop of all those books.
Would you consider like the Hellfire Gala like an event? Because they do like a yearly annual of
and there's always a handful of books that feed into it.
And it's usually something always disastrous happens at the Hellfire Gala. I think this year's was very prominent.
Yeah.
It was basically the signaling of the end of the Krakoan era.
Yes.
So I think that's huge.
Oh yeah, big to do.
Big to do.
Big to-dos.
to do. Okay.
Someone also put Moon Knight.
Yep.
Don't know who that could have been.
Who could have written Moon Knight?
Moon Knight. I'm not familiar.
Nightwing is the comic that took, the Eisner this past year.
Sure.
A lot of great.
On butts alone.
Yeah.
That's right. His fanny's pretty tight in those spandex
Butts
pants.
win Eisners. I've said it a million times.
All right. But again, BUTT, but again, there can only be one winner.
Mm-hmm.
And for me,
The bestie goes to.
it's Wonder Woman by Tom King.
Totally.
Hasn't been out that long. I battled with whether or not this comic had enough issues to be the best series of 2023. Those few issues that did come out were so impactful for me. Such a great new direction for what a Wonder Woman book can be, that it's just very exciting, and I just couldn't get another book ahead of it in my list.
Yeah, there's a lot of great Wonder Woman stories out there, right? Like Gail Simone wrote some classics, right?
Mm-hmm.
George Perez wrote some classic Wonder Woman
Rico
stories.
Tamaki.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I loved her run.
but this book felt like a super, super fresh take, not only on the character, but like the world that she lives in.
And the mythos. They introduced a new
That's-
fucking lasso.
That's what I mean. Like,
That's brilliant.
it's all just feels so fresh and new and exciting. Like
Yeah.
you're excited to have the next issue come out because you have no idea what's going to be in it.
yeah.
And again, like we noticed with Tinian, Tom King is also one of those guys who can work in amazing cutting social commentary into those comics really seamlessly and not have it feel like you're being preached to
Yeah.
while you're reading a fun fantasy
Well, I mean, the
or
guy
sci-fi
lived
book.
through the shit. Like,
Yeah.
he's experienced things that I could never imagine.
He's a real life James Bond.
Yes. And, like, the fact that he chose to do comic books instead of just going from island to island taking out supervillains is
Yeah.
just wild.
He had that option.
All right.
You think he ever tortured anybody with a battery and some jumper cables?
I know for a fact he did.
That's why we can't interview him, because that's like the first
We
thing
don't have
would
the clearance.
Yeah, we don't have the...
Our next topic was teased by the likes of Greg. We are moving on to best event. And like we mentioned, the Fall of X was kicked off with a lot of Hellfire Gala stuff.
Yes.
That's a nominee. Lazarus Planet, I thought was a quick, easy, fun one.
Yeah.
You had Lazarus Pit reign across the globe. It gave a lot of people superpowers and altered the superpowers of a lot of heroes that we know and love already. Really easy to dip your toe into. So yeah, Fall of X, Sins of Sinister, Flash, 1 Minute War, really fun book that takes place
I would have never known about that event.
within a minute.
Except for Andy.
Notably, we're leaving off some that maybe I won't mention. We like to be positive on this podcast, but fill in the blank for yourself if there were some big events that we're not mentioning here. But
Was it a snoozer?
you could say that. Which, to be fair, if you know
Cool concept.
cool concept, and a lot of the standalone books were really fun.
There was just
There were
450,000 of them.
too many of them. We're talking about Night Terrors.
But to pay kudos to
There's
DC,
way too many for people to follow.
way too many, but they paused everything else while
Yeah.
they did it. So I will admit, too many books for a mediocre event, but thank you for not making other Batman books and other Superman
that you had to
books
buy on top of it.
come out at the same time.
Other than Black Label stuff.
That's fine, though. That's a completely
Yeah, I don't
different
mind
universe.
that. Yeah. There can only be one, as the famous saying goes, and I always repeat.
The bestie goes to.
I think the bestie goes to Captain America: Cold War.
I
Yeah.
Agree.
Okay, great.
I think this is probably going to ruffle some feathers.
Yes.
If we had more clout, this would ruffle a lot of feathers.
I think we have more clout than you think.
If anyone was listening to what we're talking right now. But yeah, I think the culmination of the Jackson Lansing, Colin Kelly, Captain America run was so good.
It was so good.
Bringing those two stories together and having the two Captain America titles that have had disparate stories come together at the end in a way that was like planned this whole time.
Yeah.
The changes they made to Bucky and the Captain America mythos, the introduction of Sharon Carter as the new Destroyer, like there's just so much
so
stuff
many cool
happened.
things.
It felt important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in a non-hyperbolic, like flowery way. That whole event felt really pivotal for a lot of different characters, not just Captain America. Like a lot of things happened in this book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt all the good stuff that a good Captain America story should have. It had spy espionage. It had big superhero moments. It had moments.
I loved the Winter Soldier one shot that kicked it off so much.
Yeah.
I bought a page from it.
Yeah.
It's right there if you're watching the video.
I mean, I dare say, at least from us three, I think aside from the Ed Brubaker Cap stuff, like this was like the next big pivotal Cap thing. I mean, like Ta-Nehisi Coates did like a great job with his Captain America run, but this just felt huge. This felt bombastic.
Yeah. It was so good.
I think this duo left them off the nominees for Best Writer. One, it was confusing because they're writing duo.
It was two people. They're cheating.
But they're also writing Guardians of the Galaxy this year, which they did the whole group fall thing, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
So great people to keep your eye on,
Yeah.
and hopefully they continue to stick it out in the comic book
Are you
space.
less impressed or more impressed that it takes two of them to write a book instead of one?
I think it's way more impressive.
It's a bit. That was a bit.
I mean, truly though, like, can you imagine having to work with me
no.
for a job all the time?
No, because we'd be too wrapped up in jackassery and tomfoolery.
That's what I mean. We would get nothing
we would
accomplished.
be fired. It'd be fun for the 2 months.
I'm not even going to ask Mike because we know that we would drive him to murder.
I think he would fire us himself.
Of course he would.
We barely get to stay on the show.
All right, and our last of our main awards,
main bestie.
the main besties,
Can't wait till we get to those juicy side besties.
is Best New Series, and this is a comic wherein its first issue had to come out in 2023. We've covered tons of them.
Yep.
Probably around 150. We talk about at least 3 issues, and we do an episode almost every week. So,
Minimum.
yeah. We could mention Wonder Woman, which I named already as being, my favorite of the big 2 books this past year. You can't do this category without mentioning Transformers and Void Rivals, which I think brought just so much hype to the comic book industry.
Yeah.
Brought a lot of people who haven't read or bought comics in a while back in, and the fact that they're doing that on an independent publisher is really cool.
Yeah.
So I love that. Kelly Thompson moving to Birds of Prey, and as a whole, that Leo Romero art is just absolutely gorgeous.
Crazy. Just
And the
crazy.
Jordi Belair colors on that are unlike anything I've ever seen in comics. Wonderful series.
I forgot to mention it or write it down, but the Conan book is supposed to be like bananas good. I only read the first issue because I can't keep up with everything, but that's supposed to be absolutely amazing.
Yep.
And is it King Size Conan is coming back this year in 24?
The big formatted.
Yeah, the big like magazine size.
Yeah.
So
I think there's only been 1 or 2 issues of this from my honorable mention, but I really loved Petrolhead.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That book
And
slapped.
I think it has some really cool legs, but not pun unintended because it's about cars and stuff. But the art in that was dynamic. It was
so cool.
I'd never seen anything so crisp and like visually, like you could feel the movement in all of the art. And then, dang it, I just blanked on it, but it's the Jeff Lemire book, Phantom Road.
Yes,
Phantom
and
Road
Gabriel Walta.
and Gabriel Walta. That book,
Did that start in 2023?
yeah,
It did.
the
Okay.
very, very
Wonderful comic. I love
It
it.
was so good. It's so good.
And we were just talking about this. Our Bones Dust.
Our Bones Dust.
Book slaps too.
One of the creepiest books
another
to
one.
end out 2023.
Yeah.
That's one that I almost think, like, depending on how it pans out, we might consider that one for best of 2024
Yeah.
because it came out so
Yeah.
close to the end of the year.
That's like Forrest Gump coming out right before they announced the Oscars. It's like it seems almost unfair.
True.
The bestie goes to.
But there can only be one.
There can only be one bestie for best new series. A comic which has had 3 covers on the Cover Price Hot 10 this past month, and I think are currently still in the Hot 20,
Stray Dogs.
which you cannot deny the heat surrounding this book, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees.
Yep.
Um,
Came out of fucking nowhere.
I
on IDW
On
of all books.
IDW, I don't know that we don't have a lot of publisher categories on here really.
Yeah.
But IDW, for as much as they try to not put out originals, it seems, their original content was outstanding
Stellar.
in 2023.
Yeah. Stellar.
So many great original stories on that publisher and great books to check out. Beneath the Trees.
Antarctica is a Top Cow IDW.
Oh, is it? I
crossover.
didn't realize that. Yeah.
There was a third one. Fuck. I'll look it up. Sorry.
All right. Beneath the Trees is into second or third printing on the first issue.
Oh, yeah.
And it sells out each time.
Number 2 just came out.
Yeah.
2
and
weeks ago.
The second issue was fantastic.
Yeah.
Single writer and artist,
Yep.
Patrick Hovarth,
Yep.
does everything on the book. There's just so much heat around it. I didn't feel like I could pick anything else for this category.
And that's rare that a book that came out so late in 2023 or like so late in the year
Would seem like such an obvious, like,
but it completely is. And I think it's because, and correct me if I'm wrong, Club, I think it's because the second issue was so strong.
the second issue was great. I think if the second issue hadn't come out this year, I don't know that I would have put it on
Or if the second issue fell
the
flat.
list, or exactly right. But it was another stunner.
So it's like, it makes me excited to see what the rest of the issues are going to be, because it's just like, if he can nail issue 1 and 2, and issue 2, we never talk about it because we always focus on the first issues. The second issue is maybe the hardest issue to nail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many sophomore slumps in this business
Yeah.
that, like, the fact that he was able to crush, like, hit a second home run
Yeah.
is nuts. But I mean, there's so many things working to this book's advantage. You have writer and illustrator are the same person.
Yep.
You have it on an independent publisher. You have kind of just like this swell of community support out of nowhere. Like, this book caught fire on social media like instantaneously. Like, the day it came out, people were losing their fucking minds. Like, this set the X or Twitter or whatever you're calling it now on in a fury for like a month straight.
It's fun when this stuff happens because it's so rare in comics now, because a lot of the hype for things just is like
Manufactured.
manufactured, and people are pre-ordering and doing so many things on speculation.
Yep.
This book was just a new person doing a new thing, and we knew nothing about it until you the day it comes out,
Yeah.
and you took a chance on it, and you open the pages.
It was so genuine.
Yeah.
It's so genuine, and it was beautiful, and the story was captivating. It's
everything you want.
Oh my god! It felt like a fucking HBO animated TV show, but like that I was reading. It's nuts. It was nuts.
All right. Do you want to rip through some
Yes.
extra category besties? You've got some other IDW books to mention.
For my money, IDW is definitely the publisher of the year. This is just kind of off the cuff, all right? But just to give you guys some of the stuff they've done this year, obviously Beneath the Trees, they did Bryn Mawr.
Yeah.
Did you guys read Bryn Mawr?
Yeah.
They did all of those Dark Spaces books that Scott Snyder's doing.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
IDW, Earth Divers,
Oh my god.
IDW.
Earth Divers was nuts.
Godzilla, Here Be Dragons. Not the most prestige book, still a lot of fun.
We'll give you that one. We'll give you that one.
Dead eyes for that as a reaction.
Hunger and Dusk,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hunger and
yeah.
Dusk was like one of the best indies this year.
Yeah.
Ministry of Compliance.
Yeah, another
Oh,
great,
IDW.
that huge first issue.
Yep. All the Rick and Morty stuff that came out.
Okay.
It's
Well,
IDW.
again, we'll give you that one.
Okay, fine. And the Usagi Yojimbo Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover
Yep.
was IDW.
Yep.
The regular stuff is on Dark Horse, but
Yes.
some of that Usagi stuff comes out.
It's on
IDW.
Dark Horse / Dogu, which is his imprint now.
Yeah.
Stan Sakai's.
So,
So IDW, yeah, you're right, had a pretty fucking banner year.
again, I mean, you compare it to the other stuff. Like, they didn't have the most stuff come out, but the stuff they did have come out
Yeah.
slapped.
Who knew losing their licensing would benefit them in a positive way?
Hey, you either got to, like, sack up or, you go out of business.
All right, while we're on the topic of Patrick Hovarth, we'll do Best Newcomer to Comics,
Sure.
which I think he's worth mentioning as a nominee. I also think Omnibus is worth mentioning. Those
Yeah.
guys have been working towards that for a long
Totally.
time.
Yeah.
But with Comixology making the move to the Kindle app,
And just shitting the bed every night.
I think this was the year that more people realized what Omnibus was and was offering.
Yep.
But my best newcomer, the bestie goes to Distillery.
For sure.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody got more heat than that.
Yeah, they're huge smash at San Diego Comic-Con. That big booth with all of your favorite creators under one publisher, doing creator-owned things, trying some creative things with digital comics. And we've suspected that they might try to become a digital publisher.
Yeah.
They could try to become their own retailer. Like, they could do a lot of different things. They've got such name power
Yeah.
and strength behind them that, and they're killing it so far with these large format prestige
Yeah.
comics.
Oh, so maybe like a honorable mention for me. This creator definitely isn't a newcomer in the industry, but had made some huge moves in 2023. Christian Ward, I feel like, needs to be in the conversation for really making moves to let people know who he is. He had Bloodstained Teeth, which he wrote as his first time writing. He did Batman City of Madness, which is
Writing and
writing
arting.
and arting. Arting. Excuse me, I arted. And if you haven't read it yet, it is wild, and it's exactly what you want. And I feel like he is just gearing up for something incredible. Like, he had already had a banner year with 2023, and I am super excited to see what he has planned. He teased on his social media that he has like 5 big projects planned for 2024 that I am
Hey.
just chomping at the bit to figure out what they are.
Maybe you'll make our list next year.
Next year.
Can't wait for the Christian Ward First Issue Club crossover.
Yeah, I mean, the Christian Ward did that awesome variant for our boys over at the Oblivion Bar Pod. So
Oh yeah, that's right.
yeah, and we got a couple of copies of that. So hey, maybe this year First Issue Club will get its own variant.
Probably on, like, Batman.
Yeah, the Mike D variant for Daredevil.
There.
Next category. Best new Big 2 character. We've got Trinity, Lizzie Prince, the daughter of Wonder Woman. Dream Spider was a big one that actually happened in 2023, as far ago as that may seem. Hollow's Eve, another big
yeah.
Spider-Man character.
Yeah.
I also
Failsafe is worth mentioning.
Failsafe was a great character. Wreck Rap
Yep.
Oh my god.
was really funny. You can't do this category without mentioning Cubisk Core.
Who's that?
Of course, an associate of the Sentium, who is pure chaos incarnate, who
This is a
Oh,
fun.
you're talking about gods.
lives in a scanner box.
This is a fun bit. I'm enjoying it.
This is gods, right?
I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, this was a Hickman character from Gods that was just like the most obscure name, the most obscure backstory, like whatever a skin. I was like, I had wrapping your head around a Skinner box. If you want to see some Jonathan Hickman
Bullshit.
go to like the Marvel fandom Wikipedia entry for Skinner box and be like, that's what's in Gods.
Then be prepared to roll your eyes all the way to the back of your head.
Okay, but obviously the bestie goes to Spider-Boy.
He's a spider, but a boy.
That's right.
He's an adolescent arachnid.
On the name alone, big new character to add.
Yeah.
I honestly, I feel like I can say this and not feel bad about it just because it's a big two thing. I don't love Spider-Boy, if I'm being honest, but I can't deny
Hey, he moved units.
the amount of comics it sold and how long those.
When you're competing with Dogman, you got to be able to move units.
All right. Best new direction. This is, we're kind of thinking a legacy character that has kind of shifted gears. And we mentioned Chip Zdarsky's Batman.
Yeah.
We took that character in kind of a new direction.
Teeny Howard's Catwoman.
Al Ewing's Immortal Thor, Teeny Howard's Catwoman, Tom King's Wonder Woman. Pepos' Punisher, huge shift in direction there.
Well, Jason Aaron's Punisher.
Jason
True.
Aaron's Punisher was also 2023, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. He's dead. You can't get more new than that.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Frank.
The First Issue Club bestie is Philip Kennedy Johnson's Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
For me, the Donny Cates run left me a little sour. It was finished by
Ryan Otley?
Ryan Otley, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if his name was on it as like a writer, but the book kind of moved.
It was.
It was.
He
okay.
made sure that contractually the last issue said written and illustrated by Ryan Otley.
So, yeah, started by Donny Cates, ultimately bailed on, and Ryan Otley stepped in to finish that run. We did this amazing, beautiful thing with Immortal Thor, and then kind of made Bruce Banner this, like, a different kind of psychotic egomaniac who was more cartoony and piloting the Hulk like a mech. It sounded fun and funny, but it was like too much of a tonal change.
Let's be real here. Biggest mystery of 2023. What happened to Donny Cates?
Yeah.
There's a lot of background stuff that we don't know. I think a lot of books that he started were finished by other people.
Yeah.
I know Vanish was finished by Stegman, I think, and some others. So, like, I don't know what's happening with Donny Cates. I wish him well. I know that he's probably going through some shit, and that's fine. But I feel like his Hulk run had some legs, and then his life happened. Donny Cates, his life happened, and then he had to step away from that book. So I will agree that the best direction change is...
Yeah. I guess the positive spin on it that we're trying to make is Philip Kennedy Johnson moved Hulk into a place where a lot of us are excited about Hulk again. There's a lot of like cult mysticism and magic in it, and it feels like a monster story again, which I think is where Hulk is maybe the most successful in modern times. It's not so heady as Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk run, which is again a breath of fresh air to just read something that's like easy to pick up month to month and easy to like understand what's going on.
Yeah. It is nice that the Hulk can exist in both dualities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like you can get a super heady Hulk story, and you can also get just a fucking American Gladiator style Hulk story. Where like, you know what? I want to see Hulk smash. I want to see Hulk smash a lot, actually.
All right. What cover artist had the best 2023? We've got honorable mentions that are all heavy hitters, like Peach Momoko, Jen Bartel,
These are some heavy hits.
Joshua Swaby,
Did a little flip.
Folks. There can fucking only be one, baby.
And the best he goes to.
The best he goes to David Nakayama.
Had a great fucking year.
Moved on to regular covers for Catwoman, which features a lot of shiny leather, which is
Latex.
where he
Shines.
shines. He did so many variants, retailer exclusive variants, convention exclusive variants. Like every month there was some book from him that was
I'm gonna be
on
honest.
some list.
I always thought I was like he carved such a fantastic niche for himself
Yeah.
in variants. I was just like, he could just make a whole career
Out of
doing
just, like,
random
yeah,
retailer variants. And then when they announced he was going to be the main
cover artist.
cover artist for Catwoman, I was like, this guy's going to fucking blow down the door. Like he's in now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not going anywhere.
He's
Like,
done much more dynamic X-Men covers over this past year too.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see a lot of his retailer exclusive covers were like a single character silhouette, kind of done in that color bleed style.
Yep.
But we've seen way more interesting compositions from him this year, and those
Yep.
have all been popular covers, I think.
He did that Crypto Shadows cover for
Yeah.
Marvel too. Something else. Something else.
One of the
Bloodstone.
Bloodstone books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my opinion, he was the person that I was
Yeah.
just seeing constant buzz
Oh yeah.
on some cover he had.
His art is so funny to me because it's like
Definitely has a style
you take
that you can pick out.
yeah, you take like a familiar character and then you put like a Snapchat filter over it.
Yeah.
And it makes it like kind of like more voluptuous, a little more curvy, and like it makes it like really pop off. It feels like it's been fed sugar cereal
Yeah.
for like 6 hours straight, and you're just like, damn, this is a good fucking time.
It's just the right amount of cheesecake.
Yeah. Yeah. Family friendly cheesecake.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Next category. What trend popped off the most in 2023?
I think you nailed it in one with your pick. I mean,
All right.
you have honorable mentions, but I think you nailed it.
Honorable mentions include multiverses.
Sure.
We're kind of burnt out.
Yeah.
Events all over the place.
Yeah.
So many events this year that I can like barely name them. They're
Too
all
many.
just
Too
a
many
cloud
events.
in my head. Homage covers.
Yeah.
There
Oh my
couldn't
God.
have been more homage covers this year.
Except for the Santa ones. Give me more Santa ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Harley Quinn ones, there was a couple there that were good,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, we get it.
2023 will forever be known to me as the year foils came back.
For sure, right? Like,
So many foil covers.
Yeah.
you nailed it in one.
Yep.
DC, Marvel, convention exclusives, or the foil version of the cover that's already popular.
But it peaked when DC did the foil cover of the reprint, right? The facsimile with the foil cover. That's the peak, right?
Marvel and DC are both
That's
doing
the shark jump moment.
Yeah.
yeah. Every facsimile that comes out now has a foil
Yeah.
version.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so many foil
Foils.
covers, and I was a sucker for some of them. I have a handful of them.
I do
Part
too.
of me is like, if I'm gonna buy a facsimile, I might as well have the shiny version.
I'm gonna get the shiny one, obviously.
All right, best comic movie or TV show. I shouted out The Marvels,
Mm-hmm.
Loki season 2,
Mm-hmm.
Scott Pilgrim Takes Off.
Yep.
That was such a good
I
one.
loved. DC just had Aquaman come out.
That came out this year.
It existed.
As did Blue Beetle, as did The Flash.
Some of the movies of all time.
Yeah, movies of time definitely came out.
But really early on in the year, we had Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And I think that's an easy winner.
A continued brilliance of the already stellar Spider-Verse movies.
I think everything else kind of fell victim to the narrative of superhero fatigue.
Yeah.
And then this one was one that just people generally loved. I will say the big knock on it is that it doesn't have an ending. It's just kind of like, wait for part 2.
Yeah. Hold, please.
So that's the big knock on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, but even still, it seemed to transcend or rise above the crop of the.
It's almost like
the
they
comic
didn't.
book stuff.
They have to know if they released a 6-hour movie, people would sit through it.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Like,
Give me a 20-minute intervention and I'll sit through anything.
exactly. Like that franchise is so good that like it could have been 5 hours long, and like just like Andy said, give me 20 minutes in the middle to check my phone to make sure my kids are alive, and then I can go to the bathroom, and then let's do it again. Part 2, let's go.
Yeah, but they can't sell you 2 tickets that way.
I would buy 2.
Yeah, I would too.
Whatever. I would buy 2 tickets.
Yeah.
Best mini maxi of 2023. I feel like a lot of creators now are just saying, I would rather do a mini or a maxi series.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do my prestige stuff there because it can be self-contained. Yeah. I don't have to worry about like a 40-issue arc, or I don't have to worry about telling my story that would be 16 issues. If I know that it's going to be 12 and I have to get it done in 12, I would rather just do that. So I guess another trend I've noticed is just more people taking things to committed maxis and minis this past year, which has meant some really good ones. The Cull.
Yep.
Blue Book.
Yep.
I loved Louise Simonson's Jean Grey, which I think a lot of people slept on, which is a fantastic comic. Batman One Bad Day, so many good.
All the One Bad Days were good.
Yeah.
So many good series.
So I wasn't sure where to throw this because it's just a series of one-shots.
Yeah.
But
This is a good category for it.
But that whole run was just almost like, and this was the intention, but it's like, it's the Killing Joke for each Batman rogue, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it was hit after hit after hit after hit.
Yeah, I don't think any one of them
None of
was
them
bad.
missed.
There was not a weak one in the bunch.
Yeah. And like the Riddler one and the Clayface ones in particular are like, to me, like the definitive stories now.
Yeah.
I thought Zero Day was going to be the best Riddler story of my lifetime, and I might be wrong, you know?
Yeah, they recently did a collected hardcover editions of all those, and they are
In the slipcover.
Oh God, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful little shelf art.
And who added Murder World to our list of mentions?
Also me.
Yeah, boy.
Again, kind of same thing because it was just a series of one-shots.
Yeah.
But it was also kind of an event.
Yeah, and it was really good.
Really good.
This could be a yearly event for Marvel.
Yep.
To be completely honest.
And guess who wrote it? Best writer loser, Jed McKay.
Jed McKay.
I think we know who Vargas's best writer would have been.
No, he was my best writer last year.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, really fun. You can call it a mini series, whatever. Focusing on like a different hero throughout this like arcade story.
Yeah.
Really fun stuff.
And like a dark arcade story. Like,
Yeah.
It got brutal.
Yeah. Very Hunger Games.
And it like the tonal shift that Marvel let Jed McKay lean into for that was kind of inspiring and not really, I wasn't expecting that. So I don't know.
And it had one of the best splash pages of all time. It's Moon Knight, baby.
Can you buy that?
I tried. As soon as that issue came out, I looked up and the art was already sold.
Of course.
But the bestie goes to Danger Street.
Hell yeah.
Tom King's 12-issue maxi.
Talk about another creator with a banner year.
Huge sweeping story that also seems like small when it needs to and then massive when it needs to. Every issue that came out each month was like, kind of like left me sitting back in my couch just like, oof, what did I just read? So constantly looked forward to that book every single month of the year.
Yeah.
I believe the first issue came out in 2022, but the breadth of it was 2023.
The fact that Tom King could take a innocuous throwaway,
just random characters
from the 70s and create such a pivotal series is just, you when's the last time you saw that?
Yeah.
Never.
I mean, yeah, truly. Like, people could say, like, well, Daniel Warren Johnson's doing that with Transformers. Kinda. But, like, not really. Like, no one knew who the Green Team was. No one knew who Lady Cop was.
Yeah.
Like, these were just things that DC did in the 70s to see if they could, like, get a hit character. And then they were forgotten for, like, 40 years.
Yeah.
And then Tom King comes in and makes them all relevant again.
You give Tom King a character and 12 issues, and he will make you sad about it.
And 9 panels, and you're,
that's right.
Well, what's that issue where it was just a sword fight for one issue?
Fantastic.
That issue alone made people's best of lists all year.
That was one of my favorite issues I read this year.
So I am 100% going to get that collected edition Danger Street whenever it comes out, because Mike D, like, definitely nailed it, like, dead on Danger Street.
DC should do absolute Tom King 9-panel. And it'll be like that and Rorschach and
Miracle Man.
Miracle Man, yeah.
I almost said Darkseid is. I'm just like,
all
that's
of
not
those.
the fucking name of the book.
And Human Target.
And Human Target. Oh, man, Human Target.
Human Target was last year. We talked
I know,
about
but
it.
still fucking good.
Yeah.
All right. Let me skip to one because we mentioned Human Target.
Oh, okay. Is that for horniest book?
Hell yeah.
Best Death.
Sure.
We knew at the beginning of Human Target, so not really a spoiler here, that Human Target, the titular Human Target, will die by
That's his whole deal.
By the end of it. So Best Death in parentheses, if only temporary.
Sure.
Yeah.
We've got Mr. Moon Knight,
I didn't put that on there. That was Mike.
Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
The entire Justice League died.
Fair.
Yeah. Jean Grey.
Daredevil died.
Daredevil died.
Jean Grey died. Gods such as Odin and Zeus both died this year. When I started trying to think of like candidates for this topic, I was just like, they killed everybody.
That duck in Beneath the Trees.
Was it this year that they put Odin in Thor's hammer?
Yeah,
that was this year?
That was this summer, yeah.
Talk about a helicopter parent.
That's my winner. Odin inside the hammer.
Yeah. My pick, and the bestie goes to
Yeah.
Because there can only be one.
Magneto.
Sure.
Magneto, so far anyway, has stayed dead the longest of any of these characters. His death was very impactful during the X-Men series with this large battle for Mars against Unis. Really cool plot point and story point. And it was cool that, even though the X-Men have the resurrection protocols and everything, this stuff kind of fell apart at the time Magneto died, or his wishes were to not be reincarnated again, that he'd kind of had it with it and maybe served a better purpose as a symbol. There was just a lot of things going on with his death that have made it more impactful. So that was the most impactful one to me anyway.
Yeah, but the coolest moment still, I think this happened last year, but when he got like his heart punched out
Yeah.
and he kept his blood circulating
That was fucking
through his
rad.
own powers.
That was fucking rad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he-
Iron in his blood.
He entered that like battle arena and they were like, "What weapon do you want?" And he was like, "Nothing, baby." And he just puts his own helmet on the other guy and just crushes it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a real king,
Yeah.
huge dick energy.
That's
Yeah.
a big swinging dick energy.
Yeah. And again, props to Al Ewing
Yeah.
for writing a lot of that awesome Magneto stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments on Moon Knight's death before we move on from this category?
It's very cool the way that Jed McKay set it up. We got Black Spectre to come back. We got the whole team really reflecting on it. The actual death panel is very cool because it features all three personas talking to each other, and they're all on the same page, going out the way they're going to go out. And then in this week's Vengeance of the Moon Knight, you get kind of the aftermath, and it's also very touching. So hard to pick whether Moon Knight 30 or Vengeance of the Moon Knight 1 was like the
Is
better
like
death
the
issue.
Yeah.
But they work great as a pair.
One's the dying issue, one's the death issue.
Yeah, well, one is like, okay, Moon Knight blows up in a bomb, but the other one is like, okay, what does the team do about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have we gotten resolution on whether he's going to like the realm of the dead?
Well, so that's the whole thing.
Because
We're getting into it. All right.
Okay,
he's
well,
got
I'm
the
going to
p-
sit back for a little bit.
He's got the potential because we had the whole City of the Dead mini-series this year, which
Yeah.
introduced
Scarlet
our new
Scarab.
the third iteration of Scarlet Scarab and Layla, who is, a TV series character made comic book character.
So we don't know what Mark is doing in the afterlife. That
Yeah.
has not been addressed. What we do know is, as a Fist of Khonshu, he should be resurrected by Khonshu.
Yeah.
That's the whole deal. He's done it like 4 other times. But Khonshu right now is imprisoned in Asgard.
Yeah.
So he can't resurrect Mark.
Yep.
And they didn't find the body. So,
And there's supposed to be another Moon Knight, so it's like
yeah.
new Fist of Khonshu.
Right. Or is it Mark that came back somehow
Yeah.
non-Khonshu related? We don't know.
Can Mark become Khonshu? Is that
No.
possible?
Khonshu's a god.
No? Okay. Hey, crazier thing.
I mean, who knows, I guess.
Have you seen? So this is gonna be a weird tangent. Have you seen the new Avengers event that's gonna be happening in 2024?
Blood Hunt?
Vampires, baby.
Yeah. Written by best writer loser,
Jed
McKay.
Taboo.
Yeah. Avengers has been cool.
Yeah.
That's okay. So I'm very excited about it because
Yeah.
more Blade,
A lot
hell
of first
yeah.
appearances in Avengers this year.
And the whole Vampire City thing.
Mm-hmm.
We really wanted to be explored more, and I think it's
Well,
gonna happen.
So that's a book we didn't talk about that I really wanted to mention is the Blade book is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It rules.
Right
Best Marvel vampire hunting book?
Blade. Hands down.
All right, we've got a couple other categories. I think just 2 left.
All right.
And then we'll close this out. Best horror comic. There's so many of them
Harrower.
that we.
Yeah.
The
Harrower, the Nasty.
Nasty, yeah.
Where Monsters Lie.
Where
Where Monsters Lie, Carl Starks.
Uh,
The Call, you could call a horror
The
book.
Cole, yeah.
Invasive. Have either of you read Invasive? It's a Cullen Bunn book that came out on Oni last month.
No.
Worth checking out.
Yeah?
Very cool. Seasons Have Teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I
really good.
loved that book. I
very, very
hesitated to put it in here,
Uh,
but I had to bring it up somewhere.
Yeah.
That book was just so gorgeous.
Yep.
Vicious Circle isn't. Was that wasn't this year, was
Yeah.
it? Vicious Circle on
Boom.
Boom.
Yeah.
so a lot of great horror comic books. Too many to mention them all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the message being that if you're a fan of horror,
Yeah.
You're eating well.
Yeah.
yep,
Archie Horror.
doing great. Yeah, that's
Hell yeah.
right. Our bestie goes to The Neighbors.
For sure.
The Neighbors, yeah. Very, very, very good.
Super spooky.
Super spooky.
Cool covers.
Yep.
Cool
Kind
covers.
of very poignant.
Great art. Great representation.
Mm-hmm.
Great book all around.
Yeah, that's a book
That's
that had really
true.
good representation that didn't really get acknowledged that much.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which,
Isn't that what you want, though?
yeah. So, like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of a conflicting thing of just, like, you know, on one hand, it is good that these characters just can be in stories and not have to make the news.
Yep.
But you also want to celebrate the fact that, like, hey,
It got written.
thank God this is fucking normal now.
Yeah.
That we can have these kinds of characters in comic books and people don't want to burn down stores.
Well, that is a cool part specifically about this book is that, like, the character's trans identity is important and valuable to the story,
Yes.
but it doesn't revolve around the story.
Correct. Yeah.
And it's not like the thing that you have to be hit over the head with,
Yes.
like anything else, right?
Right.
I don't want to be hit over the head with the fact that, I don't know, Superman's from Kansas.
Right.
You know?
Well, and that's why we protest. That's why we bring things to this people's attention. It's just like we don't want it to be, you know, a big event. We just want to be seen. We just want to be like heard. We just want to be accepted. And then that's it. You know what? Like fucking
Yeah.
we don't want to be yelled at for using, I don't know. Anyway.
All right. We've handed out a lot of besties today. We've
Yeah.
got one wonky to hand out.
Oh, we're handing out a wonky.
We're handing out a wonky.
I thought we were out of those.
The biggest controversy in comics of 2023.
Okay, there was one on this list.
Did we miss Horniest?
Oh, this is The Forged.
It's the Forged. Horniest is the Forged.
There's one on their list that I'm going to need you to explain to me.
Okay.
It's the Eisner's
It's not the
one.
wonky.
No, it's the Eisner's one.
What's the opposite of a bestie otherwise? The worsty?
The worsty.
I should have been a worsty.
WURST.
They're in our burn book.
Yeah. A sinister.
All right, let me go through these. So, our nominees are Pregnant Joker,
Hell yes.
That gets a wonky for sure.
Mark Millar Spirals,
Sure.
Scott Adams is racist.
He's been racist, though.
Dilbert is racist.
I think that all happened this year, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
It was just like at the very beginning of the year, so I almost forgot about it. But I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Can't enjoy Dilbert anymore. Okay.
You
and
did
then,
enjoy Dilbert? Interesting.
Hey, man.
Ack.
That's Kathy.
I fucking know.
What is Dilbert but the male white Kathy?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the one you were asking about is Francis Rothbart being removed from Eisner's nomination. So the most nominated person at the Eisners this past year was Zoe Thorogood.
Yes.
The second most nominated person was this creator who had written this book, Francis Rothbart. Now, Francis Rothbart is a graphic novel that is, I would say, more of like a prestigious art piece is kind of how it was like packaged. It was like a $75 book. When I said
Whoa.
prestigious, it should have been more like a prestige. Like
Yeah.
this is like,
Yeah.
you know,
like very expensive fine art.
upper class fine art sort of thing is how it was sold.
Is this on Fantagraphics?
It is on Fantagraphics.
Fuck.
Of course it is.
It was written and illustrated by a guy who's a professor of art. He's gotten a lot of criticism from his students for using too much sexuality and violence as like conversation points in the classes. And so there was a lot of just complaints about him as a person.
Huh.
And he often belittled cartoonists who were, you know, trying to find their way to like being creators and creating things like graphic novels, and he would belittle them. And then he wrote his own graphic novel. So a lot of bad will there.
I think I kind of remember this.
Then the book itself, so it is about a feral child who is of like Asian descent, who is again feral,
Yeah. Okay.
which just like isn't a great motif,
Uh-huh.
and is just horny and like trying to fuck things all the time in like the wilderness.
What?
And so you've got like child sexuality, child like violence, a lot of racial stereotype things.
Why would you pay $75 for that?
And it was trying to be sold as like
Why were the Eisners just like, you know what? We should fucking nominate this.
fine art by this uppity asshole who doesn't respect other people in the comic book industry. And it started this whole conversation about like, well, let's take a look at the people who are voting on the Eisners this year. They're all, it's a panel of 6 people. They're all white upper class people.
What?
Get the heck out of town.
So it was ultimately removed from contention. And part of it was like the creator being like, I don't care. Like, I don't need awards to feel validated, which again, like,
Yeah, you do.
yank. So all around, I think the whole thing just left a bad taste in everybody's mouth about like
That is
what
yeah.
sort of
Oof.
people were being nominated and like what their art was. Like, did people really read this, or were they just like, this is supposed to be a prestige sort of thing, and it looks artsy and different, but when you look at the subject matter, it's kind of grotesque.
Yeah. Juvenile.
And juvenile. Yeah.
Can I put in a submission for the wonky?
Yeah.
Fables being released into the public domain,
Oh,
but
yeah.
actually not being released into the public domain.
Yeah.
And then finding out that Bill Willingham is
A piece of
a
shit.
piece of shit.
I can't believe I forgot that one. That's a great one. Okay, but our worsty
There can only be one.
goes to fake slabs. The CGC controversy.
Yeah.
Sending the collecting world spiraling. How many of your
Chaos.
Mark Jewelers inserts actually have Mark Jewelers inserts in them? And do you have lower grade copies of things? I just sent in some books to get reholdered to CBCS, and
To varying success.
to one of them came back several points under what it had been graded. And is that inconsistency in CBCS's quality control, or is that someone manipulating one of their slabs and putting a book that shouldn't have that grade in one of those cases? I'll never know. All I know is just that I paid too much for a comic book somewhere along the lines there.
It's an interesting discussion because I was talking to Mike about this because he brought it up in the text chain, but he sent in a CBCS book to get regraded or reslapped, essentially.
Yeah, reholdered.
And the grade went down. In my eyes, that shouldn't happen. It should either stay at the grade that it got, or if you got it pressed and cleaned, it should go up. The fact that they can lower their own grade seems
Bullshit.
Seems like illegal.
It's basically, to me, it's like CBCS telling you,
Oopsie.
you cannot trust
Yeah.
our grades.
Yeah.
Like, it's supposed to be an end-all, be-all thing. And whether their cases are easily tampered with, or their grading is just all over the place, and it just depends on who you get that day,
I honestly,
then obviously that's a problem. So I had the biggest whammy for me was New Teen Titans first appearance of Raven, Cyborg, and I think Starfire, all in the DC Presents issue, went from a 9.6 to a 9.2.
right. Which that's you hear that, you're like, oh, that's not that bad. It's a fucking
Huge amount of value.
plummet
Yeah.
in the grading scale for comic books.
Yeah. And then I had another book that was Apocalypse's first appearance that went from a 9.4 to a 9.2. So smaller change, but a change nonetheless from CBCS grade to CBCS grade
Shouldn't happen.
for just a reholder.
100% should not have happened. I would have been fucking furious.
Yeah.
I would have been like, you know what? Then fucking.
I would have
charged me.
Then don't grade it.
Yeah.
I would have been mad had so many of the other comic books not worked out so well for me.
Yeah, I mean, you did have some.
I had a
winners.
I had an Edge of Spider-Verse 2 come up to a 9.8.
Yeah.
which increased the value by hundreds of dollars and made offset anything by far. So
because you're definitely going to sell it.
Yeah. You're definitely not going to be buried with it. Yeah, definitely. Okay, that is the worst / wonky award winner. For sure.
I think there is a lot of, we've trusted and gone by these couple companies for a long time, and the most trusted one has now been seemingly easily undermined.
Yeah, exposed.
Yeah, so how much do you trust grades of your current collection? How much do you trust grades of things that are on eBay?
Yeah.
We'll grade your comics.
It's something to think about.
It's but that is the gamble with human error in this process. Because you can't have a computer do this, or some kind of AI program that can be set in parameters. All three of us can see a comic book in 3 different grading realms.
But that's the whole point of sending it in to get graded.
That's what you're paying for when you send them to this service, is to standardize it.
I agree. But so why? And I guess this will be the discussion all through 2024.
It should not evolve over time.
I know, but what's the standard? Why aren't they all not adhering to the same standard? Derek and Jim shouldn't grade the comic differently. They should each come out with the same grade when there's a blind testing or whatever.
Well, and there should be some kind of guarantee, right? That if they do lower your grade to meet the standard, they give you the offset of value.
I kind of wonder if I don't know how the grading thing works. If let's say grader 1 says this is a 9.6, and does that go to a higher up, and they're just okay, 9.6, sign off? Or does the higher up do a double check of just okay, well, they say it's a 9.6, I'm looking this over, I agree this is a 9.6.
I know CGC is very transparent about their process. I don't know how much about CBCS.
It just seems in that industry there should be a lot of checks and balances as far as
at least 2 sets of eyes looking at everything.
I think there's 3 people who look at a comic. I think it's 2 graders and then a
dog.
It's two junior graders and then a senior grader, I guess is maybe the best way to put it.
Okay.
And then
switch those.
If they're all within, ooh, fuck. Oh, I just got a cramp in my leg.
Leg cramp. A live leg cramp on the show. That's the worst of 2024.
That hurt so bad. It's still going up my leg.
This has never happened. A full-on medical emergency happening on the show. Mike, is there any more awards?
I'm so hydrated, too.
Yeah, get this man a banana.
Get this man 2 bananas.
No. We're just going to vamp on this bullshit until the end of time. So let's end it.
All right, folks. Thanks so much. This was our best of 2023. As a reminder, you can visit us at firstissueclub.com. All the social medias, we're on them. And if you want more First Issue Club content, go to patreon.com/First Issue Club for more hilarity. Until next year.
Bye. First Issue Club is edited and produced by Mike DeStacy, Greg Lichtag, and Andy Vargas. Follow us on social media at First Issue Club, and check out our Patreon for videos, audio, and more at patreon.com/First Issue Club.